All right, what is going on? What's going on, everybody out there in social media land? This is Steve. It's Thursday. It's October 24th. And as we do every Thursday around this time, we do our Falcon and whoever preview. And I'm sorry to sound less than enthusiastic, but when your team is 1-6, you have to find other ways to pump yourself up. And I'm pumping myself up today by just saying, thank God it's another day and we are here with you. What's going on out there in Grown Folks Sports Talk in the ATL and also in the Atlanta Bird game. How's everyone doing today? It is Thursday. It is time to preview this game. I mean, woo! I don't even know where to start. I think we just start by saying, hey, how y'all doing? Hope everyone's week was going well. Right now, we're just trying to see if we can do anything to jumpstart this team and get us, at a point where we can think about possibly winning a game. Right now, that's what we're down to. Right now, we're trying to motivate our team to pretend like they have some type of game left in them. Hey, how you doing, Sonny? What's going on, buddy? How you doing, man? Good to see you, brother. Check the pictures out all the time, man. You got a beautiful family, man. Beautiful family. And I got some old Army pictures too, Sonny. And you're in a couple of them that I have back in the day, brother. I will catch up with you. What's up, Gregory? How you doing, sir? This is Thursday. This is our Falcon preview, and this week we welcome in Mr. Russell Wilson and his Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks right now are 5-2 and currently second in the NFC West, which is really kind of crazy. How that NFC West has turned out. Think about it. The Rams are the defending NFC champions, yet they're looking up in third place right now with a San Francisco team who is undefeated, a Seattle team that's 5-1, and the Rams are 4-3 thanks to Atlanta. Atlanta, of course, is everybody's get right team. So it is what it is. What's up, bro? What's up, cuz? How you doing? My question is, who would you like to see quarterback this weekend? In my opinion, man, listen, there aren't any records that Matt Ryan's trying to break. There isn't anything to accomplish with Matt coming out there less than 100%. If he's 100%, then you let him play. If he's not 100%, there's no reason for you to put him in harm's way because he could become another casualty. And I know he's a tough guy. He's somebody that I'm sure as this ship has been sinking, he's somebody that wants to be a stand-up guy. But if he's not 100%, you got to let Matt Schaub get in there. And I know everybody's been screaming for the Etlin kid. I'm not sure if the Etling kid is going to be comfortable enough. Maybe he can wing a couple of plays here and there. But I think you let Matt Schaub do his job and you let him earn the overpaid money we're giving him already this year. Hey, Julie, how are you doing today? Good to see you in the Atlanta Bird game with us today. I think you go ahead and let Schaub start. If Matt is anything less than 90%, they're never 100%. If he's anything less than 90%, you gotta sit him out, especially with the bye week coming. If you truly plan on putting the best team out on the field after the bye to make whatever magical run you think you can make with this team, then you put him out there after the bye. You let Matt Schaub take his hits, and you'll be fine. That's just my opinion. I think you sit him. You sit Matt Ryan on the bench. That's what you do. Other than that, the Etling wishes everybody's talking about Danny Etling. Etling hasn't been here long enough to know these players. Yeah, he can he come in there and get some kind of imaginary spark? Possibly. But you let Schaub go in there and earn his second string money, in my opinion. Well, we got the Seahawks coming in. And as I just explained to you, that NFC West is so loaded. And I didn't even think about it. The Arizona Cardinals are 3-1. So there's not a losing team right now in the NFC West. And guess what division we played this year? We played NFC West. So that's just crazy. Cuz says, I would like to see our rookie just to see what's next after Matt. And the rookie are you talking about Ben Kirk? Because Ben Kirk is on IR, and that's the only person I'm thinking you're talking about from a rookie standpoint. I'm not even sure. Because Etling, I wouldn't put Etling out there. Not right now. And Freddie says in Schaub, we trust. We have to. David Green, why is Ben Kirk not off IR? Because I think when you go on that first IR, I think you have to stay at least through week 10, if I'm not mistaken, because that's Lindstrom. Lindstrom has actually been back in the facility, but he can't play, I think, until week 10. That's that new IR. It used to be where the IR would take you out the whole season. This particular IR, you can be on, but you can't come back until at least week 10. So that's why Ben Kirk is not off IR. But if I'm not mistaken, I think his may have been season ending. I'm not sure his was the mid-season thing. I could be wrong, but they say I thought he was our second best quarterback. He was. He showed signs in a couple of those games that, yeah, he could be somebody that may give Matt a little push. I'm not saying he was ready to take the job this year, but he definitely looked somewhat like he was competent when he was out there in preseason. So, yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. It's 8 games. Thanks, Philip. So it's 8 games. So obviously we're at game 7, and then we have the bye this week. And I know Lindstrom is due back, I think, week 10, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's week 10 because he got hurt either the first or second week. So look forward to seeing him come back. But as far as the Seahawks concerned, they're coming in 5-2, and they're coming in probably before last week's loss to Baltimore. Russell Wilson was getting a lot of consideration for early MVP. And what can you say? Russell Wilson is probably that new style quarterback that everyone tries to emulate. And if you look at ever since he's come to Seattle, the guys that have come out of him, the Watsons, the Kyler Murrays, the Marcus Mariotas. And I say Marcus Mariota because Marcus Mariota is actually a pretty good athlete and runs around out there. Carson Wentz, just that mobile guy who can kind of improvise something that, listen, we love Matt. And I'm not going to sit here and make this the do you love Matt, do you not love Matt show. Of course, I love Matt Ryan as our quarterback. However, it's obvious that as this NFL is changing, and we're a copycat league, the more successful type quarterbacks are starting to be those quarterbacks who can move around in the pocket a little bit. And that's just what it is. Julie said, I thought Ben Kirk was seasoned in. I'm pretty sure it was, Julie. Somebody mentioned him, and I'm pretty sure it was season ending because I'm not mistaken. Wasn't that a shoulder? Whatever it was, I'm pretty sure it was season ending. I could be wrong. If somebody knows otherwise, please let me know. But yeah, I think his is season ending. But as far as that's concerned, they have Russell Wilson at quarterback. What can you say? Super Bowl winning quarterback. Won what I should have been a 2-time winning quarterback. If they handed the ball off once, he would be a 2-time champ. But it is what it is. He's won one, lost one. They have a pretty good team. I mean, from an offensive standpoint, their wide receivers, some quick guys, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, taking over for Doug Baldwin, who kept getting hurt, and it was pretty much one of their rock receivers, kind of in the vein of a Roddy White in their position. Now they've moved to this younger, faster type receiver, and it's been paying dividends to a certain extent. Tight end, they're still kind of hurting. They had to go back and get Luke Wilson to sign back with the team because they were so thin there. So from an offensive standpoint, Russell will deke and dunk and run you to death. So you're talking about someone who's going to keep your defense on the field. Russell Wilson is that cat. I have no idea how we plan for him. I really don't, especially from what we've seen of our defense. I truly don't know what plan you go with, because as mobile as he is and as great as he is once he gets outside the pocket, and y'all thought Kyler Murray was doing something when he was doing that against the Falcons, Russell Wilson will absolutely kill you. So I do look forward to that matchup just for the challenge, just to see where Atlanta will go, how they're going to scheme for it. Look, it's already Thursday, so no need to talk about firing Dan Quinn before Sunday. He's obviously going to be there Sunday. So we'll see how it turns out. Will it be another 20 to 30 point debacle, or will the defense put up some type of fight? I guess we'll see. Coming in, David says, the only thing I've seen that he would be out for a while, it was a toe injury in the first preseason game. Okay. Right. What's going on, Vinny? How you doing, sir? Good to talk to you. We're talking about the Seattle game, just previewing what's going to happen this week. What do you all think? And I posed the question on the post of what are you doing Sunday? And the reason why I posted that was not to be facetious or not to really be I wasn't being tongue-in-cheek when I was saying it, because obviously with the struggles we've had, it's obvious that there's a lot of anger, disappointment, and all these emotions that we have invested in as fans. So I asked that question seriously. What are you doing on Sunday? And are you is anything you're doing Sunday has anything to do with the game? So I'll start off with myself. I will be at the game, as I always am, and that's just how I roll. I'm kind of ride or die one way or the other. The misery. That's the one phrase that I do like that Dan Quinn, he obviously didn't coin it, but I'm pretty sure you all had heard him say, embrace the suck. Because sometimes, and it's a pretty good metaphor, not only for football, for life. When those times are bad, and rather than to hide from them, duck them, pretend like you weren't there, get off the team, get off the bandwagon and jump on somebody else's team bandwagon or whatever. But you know what? Who knows? In a year or two, if this team turns it around and they go to the highest of heights, you want to be that fan to say, you know what, I didn't like what was going on. I didn't like the direction we were going, but we did turn around, and that's my team, and I'm Falcons all the way. So no matter whether we are rising up, whether we're dancing the dirty bird, whether we're too legit to quit, whether we're eating grits talking about a blitz, I'm with the Falcons 100%. So I will be at the game. What are you going to be doing? Y'all tell me. Tell me what you're going to be doing on Sunday during game time. I look forward to see what you all are doing. Larry Mack said, we got nothing to lose. Zone blitz, cover 2-man defense all day. Larry, they had let me make sure a lot is saying that. We had success when we were playing man-to-man when we switched up on Arizona 2 weeks ago, which I'm really surprised that we didn't go more. They tried a little bit of man in the LA game, but when they really switched over to man against Arizona, it paid dividends, and it made a little bit of a difference because as a rookie, Kyler Murray was out of his position a little bit. Go back and look at those numbers. He actually missed quite a few throws that day. Obviously, as a rookie, if you complete 20-plus passes and throw for 300 yards, it's looked at as a success. But he missed a lot of passes that day, too, in the second half, especially when we changed things up on him. Dawu says, I'm enjoying the game. I hope you do. John says, in and out the house on the grill, flipping through from game to game. I understand. Jimmy Wayne said, watching it in person. I hear you, Jimmy. I'll be out there with you, brother. And I only ask that because, look, at this point of the season, it really kind of started last week, and it probably started before the Arizona game after the Houston debacle. We haven't had a lot to cheer about. We haven't had a lot to get happy about. But, it is going to be interesting to see how they respond. This week was a big week. Not only was it a big week because on Sunday you had to go through seeing Dan Quinn extremely uncharacteristically down, as he should be, with a 1-6 record, looking like he truly is grasping at anything, any kind of solution he can see to turn this team around. Then we turn around yesterday and we give away one of the fan favorites in Mohamed Sanu. And while at the end of the day, it was a move that wasn't exactly totally shocking, but the fact that they would make it at this point, to me, seems like they're making a statement. Because if you're making a move for a player for draft picks, then that means you're setting yourself up for next year. If you're making a move for improvement on your team, we would have seen another person, like the Duke Riley trade. We traded Duke for the little safety who ended up getting hurt the next week. When we made that move, there's a thought that, okay, well, we're trying to improve the team moving forward. Right now, when you saw that move with Sanu, that said, we're in the, let's hope it's not rebuilding, the retooling of this team. Let's hope it's that more than rebuilding. We can't afford any rebuilding. Philip said, if I was in the A, I'd be there. I'm watching it, though. Ride or die. We'll bounce back. Thank you, Philip. I think we will, brother. I think we will. Jimmy said, Matt Ryan playing said so. Well, listen. If he does, that's fine. I don't want any heroes at this point. If you're 5-1 and we're in the middle of the division race and we're trying to, really press, I would say, okay, I'd give you some credit for trying to go out there and take one for the team. I'm just a little concerned, especially with your offensive line's inability to block. When you have Jadeveon Clowney, Bobby Wagner, KJ Wright sitting up there in that front seven, it's something to think about. Now, is this saying give up on the season? Is this saying don't try to win? Absolutely not. But I am saying I do want my best option to win ready for these last 8 weeks. If we lose this game this week, it's no different than the games we lost for the last 2 weeks. We're 1-6 and 2-6. While sounds better, is not going to make me perk up and start saying, "Oh, maybe we can." There are problems on this team that can't be solved with one win, but I am concerned that getting our starting quarterback hurt in a game that truly has no major consequences, that kind of scares me a little. Hi, Angela. Rise up, ma'am. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you coming in. We're discussing what everyone's plan is going to be this week. What are you going to do this week? Are you guys going to the game? Are you guys watching the game? Are y'all? I don't know. What were your plans before this debacle? I know a lot of people. There were a lot of out of town games. I'm listening to some of my friends saying they were going to the Tampa game, they were going to the Carolina game, and then I asked them 2 weeks later, and now they're, no, I'm not going now. And listen, nothing wrong with that. You spend your money how you want to spend it, and you use your time how you want to spend it. But it's amazing what the ups and downs of a team will do when you start losing, boy. I mean, the whole vibe is just gets sucked out of the room. So I do understand how people feel. Again, just what are you all going to be doing this week? So going back a little bit to the preview, at Seattle secondary, well, the problem I told you up front with Jadeveon Clowney and then Bobby Wagner coming out there, the secondary has holes, and they're not that great. Angela chimes in and says she's watching on TV, and I know a lot of people will, Angela. So that's good. Watching us, that's still supporting the team. That's just as good. The secondary can be had. Here's the problem: will whoever quarterbacks, whether it be Schaub or Ryan, or even Etlin at some time, will they have time to make the pass? Will they have the time to do what they need to do? I know a lot of people got excited for Schaub coming in and kind of, going 6 for 6 or 5 for 5, whatever it was, and scoring the touchdown. I guarantee you, folks, you're not going to see that type of defense the whole game with Seattle. Seattle's going to try to bring pressure. They know who's quarterbacking probably. They know either a 100% 38-year-old Schaub or a 70 to 80% Matt Ryan who doesn't have good wheels is playing. So that defense is going to bring it. They're going to bring pressure. Pete Carroll, I'm sure he has a place in his heart for Dan Quinn. But if he was smart, and even if I were the coach, I would bring the heat. You bring the heat all day and make Matt Ryan, if he plays, make Matt Ryan move around. If Matt Schaub plays, you make Matt Schaub move around and make Bobby Wagner just stay with them the whole time. Your running game is non-existent right now. Devonta has been extremely disappointing. The running game has been disappointing. So you're probably going to be passing 60 to 70% of the time. The offensive line, if you haven't done anything this year, this is one of those games you're definitely going to have to block. While this is not a LA Ram front four or even a Houston front four, Jadeveon Clowney is definitely a force to be reckoned with. So you have to take him seriously on the offensive line. Philip, every team we played has holes in the secondary. Matt just doesn't have the time. Absolutely, Philip. I agree 100%. If we could, and it's a wonder to me why we don't pull our tight ends in. And I know we use Austin Hooper mostly as a receiver, but why don't we pull him in enough? I don't get that. It's something kind of weird to me about that. It's kind of strange. Lisa, how you doing, Lisa? Said, man, I hope we're just competitive. That makes two of us. It's because it's one thing to be in a game and taking it down to the wire. I cannot say I wasn't excited. I was moving around with that Arizona game. I can't say I wasn't excited at the end of the Indy game, even though it was a short-lived comeback. But when you're out of the game in the third quarter, see Houston, see last week with the Rams, when you're out of the game by the end, I mean, it's a bad taste in your mouth. So give us something that we don't. Dan Quinn, as a parting gift to us, at least give us something competitive this week. That's all we ask. That's all we ask, because I've heard the word stale. I've heard the word what was I just thinking? The word redundant. The word same old, just the phrase same old. Just there's nothing about this offense or defense that's special. And you're getting run up and down the field on, which is just crazy to me. Larry says the key to Seattle is stopping the run and playing your gaps and containing your edges from Russell. Now there's the deal right there, Larry. You almost have to make a decision, because your edges aren't putting pressure on Russell anyway. So do you employ the same defense that we did? I happened to go back and look at Game Pass 2 days ago, and I was watching the championship game. And while a lot of the pieces on Seattle changed, on Atlanta, surprisingly or not, a lot of the defensive players on that NFC divisional game in 2017 are still here. They deployed a plan that had Vic Beasley as a spy against Russell Wilson in that game. And it was extremely effective. Russell still did Russell, but he didn't have those gashing 20-yard plays that just killed the momentum, that just killed your whole momentum and everything. You know, Vic played a very good spy that day. So that was kind of interesting. Brandon, Seattle also has Ezekiel Asna. Oh, yeah. Is that Ziggy on their D-line? Yeah, that cat's pretty good. He's actually good. Marquis says, I have zero faith that we will win on Sunday. Look, I don't want to be the one to try to make believe that a win may be in the card list. I'm rooting for a win. I hope we can win, but I've been hoping we can win for the last 4 weeks. Well, no, 5 weeks. And we haven't come close except the Arizona game. So let's just, all I hope for at this point as a fan is a change. Just something that's going to make this thing not look stale. Something that's going to excite me as a fan to say, going forward, that gives me hope. Because at 1-6, you don't have a lot of hope. You don't. The chances of the Falcons winning 9 straight games are the chances of all of us winning cash 3. I say all of us because I know some of y'all do. All of us winning cash 3 5 times in a month. It's not going to happen. So just give us something going forward. Larry said Deion Jones would be the spy on Russell all day. He could, but then that would kind of screw up the run defense, because they do that RPO all day. So if he spies Russell and Russell goes left, and I'm assuming it's still Perry that's running the ball, and Perry goes right, you're taking your best defensive linebacker out of the play every play. And Russell isn't stupid. Russell's going to pull that all day. They're going to RPO Atlanta all day long because they know we bite. Rusty Steve just joined, and I'm not sure if you covered this topic yet. What do you think about Julio's comments defending Dan Quinn? You think that buys him a little extra time or no? I was going to discuss that, so I'm glad you brought it up, Rusty. Obviously, and I think I'm assuming that speech was made right before the Sanu trade, where Julio gives an impassionate defense of Dan Quinn and saying that the negative play, and it was supposed to be emotional, that the play was on the players. Now, there is some truth to that. And as much as we all have been upset at the leadership of Dan Quinn, for Dan Quinn to be successful, the players have to execute. The players have to be disciplined. And I'm pretty sure Dan Quinn on a lot of times doesn't go out there and say, hey, go do 16 penalties this game. Go have a pre-snap penalty this game. Hey, if the guy goes past you, just push him out of bounds and take a pass interference call. The players are accountable as well. However, when I hear a coach said, and he was doing this a lot at the beginning, yeah, those are things we can fix. And then you go to next week and it gets worse. And then he comes back and said, these are things we can fix. And you come back next week and it gets worse. Julio's words become empty because, yeah, there is a certain amount of responsibility on the player, but as a head coach, you have to know what buttons to push to get those players to correct it. Or if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, you're supposed to have somebody behind them that you say, hey, okay, it's your turn. And maybe that'll motivate the guy that you sat down to do better. But as far as his speech overall, I don't think it bought him any more time. I think, and being frank with you, listen, they just gave Julio 2 raises in the last 16 months. So what do you think Julio is going to say? Because Dan Quinn, I'm sure, was saying, pay the man. So Julio, of all people, is going to come to their defense. Julio has made bank 2 years in a row. So I truly feel like that's I'm not moved by it, Rusty, but I can understand how some people might say, yeah, that might buy him a week or two. I still say, and especially if we lose really bad tomorrow, I say Dan Quinn is still out of here. And I'm not smiling at that. I'm not jumping up for joy. I'm not whatever, because that means when one person leaves, that means we have to reteach and redo all of this stuff all over again. I'm in no mood to hear the word rebuild. I don't want to hear rebuild when it comes to this team. I don't mind retool. I don't mind picking pieces up. But that's when I hear people say, blow it up, blow it up, blow it up. Do y'all really know what that means? In a lot of cases, that means 2 to 3 years of futility. And I'm not down with that. I don't care what Miami is doing. I don't care what Washington is doing. I don't care what those teams call themselves going through. I don't want to go through that again. If anything has happened during this Thomas Dimitroff era, is those days kind of those little false negatives sometimes, maybe those early winning seasons with Matt. Not say false negatives, those were legitimate years, but the rookie year they made the playoffs, they were 9-7 the next year. Then the next year they went 13-3, went back down to 10-6, then to 13-3 again. You know, that changed how we look at our team. We forget about that very quickly. This was a perennial losing franchise. Yes, even with number 7, as many people think number 7 led this team to Super Bowl championships and all of that. This to say Dimitroff has had a losing tenure would just be foolish and would be just somebody trying to poke at a bad time right now. He's having a horrible time, and it is time for probably a change. But you have to recognize that we've changed how this team is looked at. For those of you who were with us in the 90s and the 80s, inside of those first couple of years with Lehman Bennett, this team was always a losing team. Thomas Dimitroff did at least instill, and Mike Smith, give him credit, that the Dimitroff Matt Ryan marriage has changed the expectation of this franchise. Now, right now, is it stale? I think so. But you can't deny what he brought from New England here. There's a feeling in that building that we must win. We have to win. We've got to win. Lisa said this implosion was a surprise. At least it was for me. Oh, it's very much a surprise. Absolutely. Dexter said you have a better chance of winning the Powerball than the Falcons winning Sunday. Wow. Ohaji, I hope that's right. Julio ain't going nowhere. Nobody was suggesting he was going anywhere. I was just suggesting that I think his speech, while true, I'm not buying that that's going to help Dan Quinn stay any longer. Dominique, I agree with you about the discipline. That's why you bring somebody in here to manage all that it motivates the culture we are trying to build in Atlanta. Right now, we don't have that at all. And there's nothing wrong with changing every now and then. And I know there's some people out here who are very loyal to the Dimitroff legacy, the Matt Ryan legacy. Of course we are, because we've seen some highs from that. We've been just a small centimeter from getting that elusive championship. Of course, you would be foolish not to say you don't have some ties to these guys for what they brought here. It was only 3 years ago he was Thomas Dimitroff was executive of the year. Matt Ryan was the MVP. This defense was supposed to be going in the right direction. That wasn't that long ago. But guess what? When it starts to go real bad, and it didn't go like this, the last year or so has gone deep. Do y'all realize that we've only won like 5 games out of the last 17? 5 games. 5 games. That's a lot of that's a lot. That's a lot of games. Larry said we don't have the right personnel as a whole for the scheme Quinn wants to play. That 4-3 scheme isn't doing it. Stay in that 4-3 zone blitz and cover 2 man. And you know, you might be right, Larry. And here's, as a coach, you have to know what brings you success. If you remember, Larry, that same, and Larry, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't that the same scheme they went to when they went to the cover 2 man in the Arizona game in the second half at the beginning? Well, Arizona scored 1 touchdown, but then after that, they went to the cover 2 man and they had a little success. They had the success that allowed them to come back in that game. And they brought a little bit of pressure on Kyler, just a little bit. Threw somebody in there who brought a linebacker in there every now and then. Just change it up some. But when you stay stubborn to the same thing and let folks just eat you alive and go 3 touchdowns down, it's too late to try to talk about coming back in the game. And that's the problem. We say we're so stubborn. If something isn't working, I need my coach to say, oh, let's flip it. And if your players aren't disciplined enough to make that change, then you need to get a coach that can do that. You need to get a coach that can say, okay, you know what? We were running 3-4 in the first half. If I'm running a hybrid system, then that means I have the ability to go 4-3, 4-3. If I need to run 4-3 all game, then I'm going to run the 4-3 all game for this team. I don't need to flip back and forth because that's the script. If this is what's working, you stick with it. Philip says, nah, Julio's speech didn't give DQ any additional time. He might last until the end of the season, though. However, they could keep DQ and let Thomas Dimitroff go. I just don't see, Philip, how he survives that. I just don't. And maybe I'm wrong on that, man. I don't know. John says right now people are starting to look at us that same way. Ohaji, that's right. Good try. Tony, what's going on, Tony? How you doing, sir? Your thoughts on the Chuck Smith video going in on Vic. Tony, also while you're on there, hey, man, inbox me and tell me how about your green screen, how you get your green screen in the back. I want to get that. Chuck Smith, man, let me tell you, Chuck Smith went in And I'm sure y'all seen the video. The AJC, they do a great job. They come on a couple of times a week, and Chuck Smith and Brandon Adams break down what happened after the game and then talk about preview during the game. And Chuck Smith went off on Vic Beasley and basically, kind of paraphrasing, told him that he wasn't training hard enough. Dan Quinn told him to get another move, and he wasn't motivated enough to get another move. And you could tell when Chuck was talking like he was in a room with him somewhere, and he saw Vic Beasley say, "Nah, I don't want to do that." And I've even read on another, and I wish I saw it, where they said they're not even sure Vic Beasley wants to play football. Now, is that deep or not? Because you took a chance on giving this cat a $12.8 million contract, and you didn't know whether he was motivated enough to play football? Because I even look at his interviews after the game. Vic Beasley, Vic Beasley it's just such a disappointment. I don't know the young man as a person. He might be a great person. It has nothing to do with him as a person. But goodness gracious, as a football player, he comes up so short. And I like that Chuck called him out. I like that he called him out. And Tack too. We've been giving this golden pass to Tack. But he's on the same defensive line that's not getting any pressure. On the same defensive line. And I see great. Look, y'all don't understand. I'm watching that defensive line and the offensive line during the games. And I will say this about McGarry. McGarry has been getting absolutely shellacked on a lot of plays. But I keep looking at the tape, though. It's a lot of plays. It looks horrible when Dante Fowler gets 3 to 4 sacks in the game. But then you also see those parts, and that's the part where he's a rookie, and he's gonna get beat. Most rookies do. But you also have a side of him. I want y'all to go back and look before you criticize this comment. McGarry's gonna be nice. McGarry's probably gonna end up flipping over on Jake's side and end up taking up that side. Don't judge by the first 7 games of his professional career. McGarry is a nasty type player. Go watch him. He's got to learn how to beat that little under move. I think Fowler did it to him, and then the man did it to him 2 weeks ago. I can't remember. Tennessee cat did that to him a couple of times. He can't mess with that underneath, that little dip underneath move. He's slow for that. Give them some time. Him and Lindstrom, when Lindstrom come back, they're going to make a nice, solid little group for us. Tony says, and why if still playing knowingly he's ineffective? You talking about Vic Beasley? Absolutely. Because again, if that was his problem. In some ways, Tony, he and Vic are tied together. And while Vic, we know for a fact, is leaving, because of the promises we were given in the offseason about what he was going to turn Vic Beasley into, Dan Quinn needs to be leaving with him. He should. That's what I say. Absolutely. Larry Mack, yeah, the ends aren't finishing plays after they get back there near the quarterback. Tackling is still a major problem. We made every quarterback look like Aaron Rodgers so far. The secondary can't cover, but so long. Vic Beasley is a college player, not a pro. He's limited in that skill set. I agree. Fred, how you doing, sir? Hey, good to have you in here, man. We were talking about, I was asking everybody what they were going to do this Sunday. Are they going to the game? Are they going to watch the game? What are the plans? What are you guys going to do this Sunday? And just giving a small preview for the game. Say, did you hear that considering the trade of Hooper before the trade deadline? Listen, let me be honest with you. Hooper might get you your biggest take. I'm not suggesting that you take, if it's anybody, and I think we talked about this last time we were on, there are absolutely no untouchables when you talk about going forward, but there are people that you say you made the biggest effort in the world to keep. Hooper is in that top list. Tony said, I'll be at the game. I know you'll be there, Tony. Fred, I'm going to watch reluctantly. Hate to watch the beatdown. Yeah, and the reason I'm asking, because and some of these names, some of the guys I've got guys and girls, not going to leave the young ladies out. Some of you all I've gotten to just know by your trends and your posts, and just to see, we're all fans, but it almost like, at what point do we say, and at what point does the Falcon organization realize we're here? We're here, y'all. We are almost there. We need, as a fan base, to see that you see the same inadequacies that we're noticing. We need you to show us and tell us, yeah, Arthur Blank, of course you're going to give the loyal speech to Dan Quinn, but we also need to hear that you're disappointed about it, that you need to, they need to, go to the woodshed. As much as I can't stand Jerry Jones, and I can't stand Jerry Jones or the Dallas Cowboys, but Jerry will tell you if you screw it up, and Jerry will call you out. Jerry basically almost said Jason Garrett lost his job the year that New Orleans went 7-9, and they thought that he was going to get fired from New Orleans and go to the Cowboys. And Jerry Jones basically almost gave up on the man right there. But at least he speaks his mind out front. Now, would I rather have Arthur Blank or Jerry Jones? Yeah, I'd rather have Arthur Blank. But the loyalty speech doesn't work well with fans who have to sit there through 3 hours of agony and scratching our heads while we're watching the fans of other people sitting around us in seats they didn't originally have, seats that they probably paying 30 cents on the dollar that we paid full price for, and they sitting around jumping for joy in our stadium. Arthur Blank's got to realize how much that hurts. That hurts. Big time. Dominique says, Joseph, if the pass rush doesn't generate you sacks, it makes your secondary look like they can't stop anybody down the field. And it's hand in hand. I don't care if it's Deion Sanders back there in the back. You got to have some semblance of a pass rush that can put that quarterback off his spot, because even the best cornerbacks need a little help to get that ball to be a little wobbly or be a little off so they can make an interception or jump in front of the pass. I agree. Tony, how are we going to pay Hooper, Julio, Ryan, Ridley as coming up as well? That's a good question, Tony, because all of them ain't giving money back. Julio show ain't giving money back. Matt Ryan just gave $7 million back this year. And I know when they give it back, they restructure it and do all of that. But you're absolutely right. But Hooper is becoming that guy right now that you say going into the next year, we got to have him. And maybe, Tony, that's why we're trying to angle to get some of these draft choices right now. Second round pick from New England. I know it's almost like a third round pick, but guess what? That's still a 63rd or 64th pick in the NFL. You can get quality. You just have to have the right GM/coach that's making decisions on those players. You can have the number 1 pick in the NFL and make a bad pick. This is the same franchise that picked Vic Beasley. So, and then it's also the same franchise that picked the 4th round Devonta Freeman, and he gave us 2 years. Same one that picked the Grady Jarrett in the 4th round? 4th or 5th round, and he's turned out to be good. Deion Jones in the 2nd round. So they have some good points, but don't get stuck on Oh, it's pick number 64. I don't care. As long as when it gets to 63 or 64, you get the best person available. Not the height, get the best person available. Daniel, what's up, buddy? Inconsistency of the team was frustrating. 1 year, decent, terrible the next. It is. Tony replied that Daniel said, not sure why teams will trade for Vic unless Falcons will pay the rest of his 2019 salary. Again, folks aren't running for Vic. They were running for Sanu. And I think the only reason, and people ask, why did we get to the Patriots? We helped them win because they gave the most. The probably the market for a 30-year-old third receiver. Yes, I know what the depth chart said, but he's the third receiver on the team with Calvin Ridley. A 30-year-old third receiver is probably at best a fourth-round pick. Maybe a fourth-round pick. Mohamed Sanu is not a number one. In this system, he was a number two. But with Ridley coming on like he has, and Ridley still going through growing pains, Ridley is the number two wide receiver on this team. So you weren't going to get more than what New England gave you. I think that was a steal for both teams. Definitely a steal now that I found out Josh Gordon is on IR. Steal for both. Fred says, the ironic thing is I teased a friend of mine from Cleveland on their 0-16 season, and yet we're on our way to a possible 1-15 season. I still think, and call me crazy, that's why I think if we make changes, if we do some things a little bit different, if we have a different person maybe making some calls that Dan Quinn is either afraid to make or just not physically able to make, maybe we can resolve some of the season. Maybe we can get that upset win in New Orleans. Maybe we can sneak a win on Tampa. Really, to be honest with you, the team that has looked really scary defensive-wise is Carolina. Carolina's defense, woo, they look good. They look real good. And then Drew Brees is back. Drew Brees is back this week too, so that's crazy. Larry, Julio, Hooper, Ridley, all off limits. Now, if they're going to blow up the team, just trade Julio for multiple first-round picks, too, because of his age and past injuries. See, I don't think they're going to blow it up, though, Larry. And I agree with you on try to keep Julio, Hooper, and Ridley. Well, Ridley's not going anywhere. Those three you can keep on offense. I think running back, I think you can absolutely scrap that. Yeah, you might have to eat some money with Freeman, but I think you can scrap that. Corey, Julio will go on strike before giving his money. Oh, man. Rusty, I think we should trade Hooper. He will get us a high pick or multiple picks in the second or third round. We won't be able to afford him. So, yeah, I'm on the Hooper trade. Now, from what you just said, as far as picks, you're absolutely right. He will get you a legitimate second round pick. And who knows, if the right team comes, he could get even more. You could get a second, to your point, and a second or third. But if you're the Falcons, you don't move Hooper. If you're the Falcons, you don't. I would understand if they did, but I don't think you do, because see how long it took Hooper to kind of become what he's become? It took Hooper a couple of years. That's back in the day, for some of you folks who go back in the day, you didn't just draft a person and they started as a rookie. You sat behind folks. You sat behind and learned. All these quarterbacks that are coming on and they're trial by fire and they just run out there and do what they do. Yeah, y'all don't understand. That's how they do it now in the 2000s, which with the money that you're paying them, I understand. But back in the day, most of the time, you were drafted first round quarterback, unless you were the number one overall pick, number 2, 3, 4, or 5, you sat down a year or two. Aaron Rodgers might have been the last number one pick that sat and It's a good thing he did sit. I'm not sure Aaron Rodgers would be who he was if he didn't sit behind Brett Favre and learn how to do it. So when we start talking about picks now you're drafting to slot in at that moment. So that's why, to me, it's very important to change the people who are making the decisions, because I think the people who are making the decisions are not choosing the right players or the right type of players. Ohaji said, I think DQ is taking on too much responsibility. I agree. Dominique says, mathematically, 10-6 is still possible, but unless things gets adjusted, that's a big stretch. Well, yeah, I don't even want to make fun of that, but you're right. Mathematically, 10-6 is possible. I don't know what you would see in this team that has lost 5 in a row that would make us think we can win 9 straight, but you're right. Mathematically, it's possible. French said what we need is a better secondary, amongst other things. See, that's the problem, Fred. There are a lot of things we need. Really what we need, and not what people want different. So when you start talking about what people want that's different, people want a new quarterback. At this moment, we don't need a new quarterback. We have a good quarterback. We just don't have the complementary pieces around him to make him a good quarterback. So wants and needs are two different things. You're absolutely right. We need a secondary. We need some folks on the corner. We need legitimate edge rushers, because Tack is on that very thin line where you have to hold him accountable like you're holding Vic Beasley. We slapping Vic Beasley around, but justifiably so, but Tack should be getting some of them slaps too. He hasn't been doing that much. I'm sorry. Tony says, I don't think Quinn took on too much. I see head coaches running the offense and calling plays. Yep. Now, good offensive quarter, good head coaches who can handle that are doing that. You're absolutely right. LaFleur is calling his plays. McVay is calling his plays. Belichick still calls his defense. I mean, you're right. Coaches can do it. Maybe our coach just can't. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you have to realize he made the decision. Dan Quinn went to Las Vegas, put a slip, and bet his career, I can change that. Arthur Blank sat him down and said, Dan, we were 7-9 yet last year. I can't have that happen again. What are you going to do? Dan Quinn bet his career by taking that defensive coordinator job. I'm going to turn this around, Arthur. I will have you proud this year. I'll have this fan base energized. Well, we're energized. We're energized about getting new folks in here. The absolute wrong message. Tony said, yeah, good, right. Yeah, good head coach. Absolutely. The right person can multitask. He just may not be that person. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just because those guys do that, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the end all be all. Mike Ditka did nothing on that team for Chicago. I think Mike Ditka was a rah-rah guy. I would be, somebody tell me what did Mike Ditka do on that 85 team that made them better aside of the rah-rah and things like Buddy Ryan had that defense, man. Buddy Ryan ran that team. Mike Ditka went to New Orleans and embarrassed himself, putting on dreads and buffoonery and clownish and stuff like that. I'm not saying he wasn't a great player, but all of that stuff doesn't mean anything. You can be a great head coach and just be great at delegating. Maybe Ditka was great at delegating. Maybe he's great at delegating. You run the offense, you're accountable. Buddy, you run the defense, you're accountable. But y'all remember at the end of that Super Bowl, they were carrying Mike Ditka, but they were also carrying Buddy Ryan. Go back and look if you don't believe me. Tony says, so do you think we should have kept Marquel Manuel? Looks like he did a better job with Scrubs. I think you should have, Tony. I don't understand. Injuries are going to happen. Injuries should not be a total excuse because you should have on your roster somebody who should be able to adequately, maybe not at all pro level, but adequately take their place. Marquand lost 5 of his pieces last year during the year. And when he lost those pieces, yeah, it's Dan Quinn's job to bring in that personnel that can take their places. But you basically gave him scraps to work with. Neesman hadn't been on the field. Shoot, KZ hadn't been on the field that much. KZ was the only one that really shined. Threw Oliver out there with nothing. You threw Phillips out there with nothing. You threw a lot of guys out there last year who hadn't had a ton of experience except in game 4 of preseason. And you expected Marquand to turn that into a cohesive unit. So when Dan let him go, that did kind of shock me a little bit. I wasn't shocked Sarkisian left. I was actually a little shocked Keith Armstrong left. But I was a little shocked he let Marquand go. So you're probably right. Listen, he was the DC when they were playing the defense in 2017. The defense, everyone now during the hard times, we all forget, he was running that defense. Nobody was scoring on the Falcons that year. No, go look at 2017. It's about 70 to 80% of the guys that are on this team now that was on that 2017 team. Alford, trying to think who else is gone. Alford might be the only legitimate person that was gone from that team. So the same players that you're dealing with in 2019, you had in 17. One man had them top 10, and you got him at number 32. That's coaching, man. He bet on himself, and he lost. Crapped out. Dominique, I was only putting that out there for people to say we were going at 1 at 15 won't happen. But 9 straight, I don't see it with what we have, what we're doing this now. Listen, if this team was losing in the last second in 4 to 5 games, I would sit here and say, you know what? Call me crazy, but maybe we have a chance. Dude, you're not even in these games. Third quarter, half the stadium was leaving. I took my little girl to the game for the first time. That was my youngest daughter, my 9-year-old. That was her first time going to well, it wasn't her first time going to a game. We've been to a game before, but this is her first time coming in the seats with me to sit down at a game. And to hear a 9-year-old female, which is nothing wrong, because I know it's some females that know more than we do on this game, but to hear her saying, Daddy, let's go. This is getting bad. I'm not exaggerating that. She's dogging out the team. She's like, Daddy, this is getting bad. Let's go. That was like right after halftime. So from the mouth of babes comes the truth. Fred, he went to New Orleans strictly off his reputation. Yeah, I mean, but he didn't do anything. What, gave up Ricky? He was the one that gave up all the draft picks to get Ricky Williams, right? He was the scapegoat. Do you think, Rusty says, do you think there's a chance that we hire a defense coordinator, but Dan Quinn stays at head coach? Or do you think Dan Quinn's pride would be to hurt if that happened? I think it was a terrible idea, but it seems like Arthur Blank is emotionally attached to TD and DQ. Well, you know he's attached to him because he also just signed them to extensions last year. So obviously there's some. And again, these are the guys that took you not that long ago to the mountaintop that you weren't able to quite capture what was at the top, but they at least took you there. Of course, there's emotional investment in those guys. Of course, we can't expect for him to just all of a sudden say, I hate you. That's not his nature. And I know I'm saying hate. That's not in that way. But I'm saying we can't expect him to all of a sudden go from, you're my guys, thank you for what you're doing in 2017, to flip the script and say, I really can't stand what you guys doing emotionally. Business-wise, a good businessman can make that decision. Look, Dan, dude, you can come to my house every Thanksgiving. You can use my gym membership. You can do whatever you do. But I can't have you coach this team anymore because you're not giving me the results I need. That's business. That's not personal. That's business. And you have to detach the emotion from it. It's hard, but the trend is going and it's getting worse. And I have a real bad feeling unless this team flips a switch this week that I don't know about, you have to be honest with yourself and say, we need something to shake this team up. Not just shake it up for the sake of shaking. Your fan base is extremely disappointed. Extremely disappointed. We don't have major injury. We have one major injury, and that's Neal. We haven't had major injuries this year. And you're 1-6 in a division that at first you were thinking you could win. You're looking up at Tampa Bay, who was actually playing better than you. Fred says Manuel and Brian Cox did well with what they had and turned some of those guys into good players. Would have loved to keep them, but obviously there was something personal there. Do you think DQ could step down and head coach to be the DC? No way. Yeah, offer Brian Poole. Forgot about Brian Poole, Sean. Thank you. Thank you. And Tony, missing Poe. We were talking, Tony, somebody was bringing up the old days, and you remember Snaggletooth Grady Jackson. Boy, when you got that big stuffing D tackle in the middle, and I think we were running the 3-4 when Grady Jackson was here. And you got that big guy like a Poe, like a Jackson, that can soak up most of that defensive line. We don't have that. I know we want the athletic guys and stuff like that, but boy, you just need the big guy in the Ndamukong Suh, the Aaron Donald, even though Aaron Donald doesn't quite fit that bill, but he's about the closest that you have to that. Those big turkey eating, pork and beans and rice, macaroni eating cats that can sit in there and stuff the line. You don't even make the tackle. You just stand in between the gap, and they can't run through the gap. Not because you're fast. They just can't physically run through the gap. Those are the guys you need. So when you bring up Poe, that's awesome. Philip says Hooper is going to get traded by Tuesday. We'll see. I hope not. Falcons suck. Whatever really been able to get over that Super Bowl failure. Yeah, I mean, that's a national headline. I mean, that's nothing that anybody's been able. I mean, my thing for everyone who says what they weren't able to get over, they went to the playoffs next year. If they weren't able to get over it, and there was a stat talking about teams that, aside of New England, teams that had been to the Super Bowl the year before and don't make the playoffs the next year. And Falcons made the playoffs next year. Matter of fact, the Falcons were, again, for a first and goal series in that Philadelphia game away from going back to the NFC Championship game. So the Super Bowl thing, yeah, maybe that's in their psyche. But the next year they made it to the playoffs. That kind of renders that null and void. But I hear you. I mean, if that makes y'all feel better. Carlos said a lot of guys were scapegoats. Yep. Rusty, 3 guys on this team I want to stay: Debo, Grady, and Julio. Everyone else can go if the price is right. And by the way, Ridley needs to toughen up. He plays nervous. Well, Ridley's about to find out. Ridley is a marked man now because I think Sanu was covering a lot of that stuff up. So Ridley, spotlight's on you, bro. Ridley's a first-round pick. We showed he can catch. Now you're going to have to show your complete game, because the one thing that Sanu did show, Sanu had a very complete game. Let's see if Ridley can emulate that. Brother, what's going on, Robert? How you doing, man? What if we come out and look completely different offensively with Schaub at the helm? Just asking. Well, then maybe Schaub becomes available on the trade market as well. Nah, I'm just playing. Listen, it'll be a different quarterback, so it'll be a different feel. Look, who knows? Maybe Schaub might add something different to this offense. He might add something. You still have way too many holes on the rest of this team to worry about than the shot. You know, Ryan is this team's quarterback. Ryan is going to be this team's quarterback unless we get rid of him next year. As much as it pains a lot of you to think, Ryan's not going anywhere unless there is a new person at the helm of this team. Now, if a new person comes to the helm of his team, I think Ryan is expendable. But as long as they keep letting Quinn stay back there and Dimitrov stay back there, Matt Ryan is here to stay. And I know a lot of y'all don't want to hear that, but it is what it is. But as far as Schaub doing a good job, Schaub goes out there and he's 27 for 37, 350 yards, 3 touchdowns, and more importantly, wins the game. Matt Ryan comes back off the bye. Matt Ryan will be your quarterback. Guarantee it. That's what Schaub's paid for. Schaub's paid to come in there and take Ryan's place. You can't make a one-game decision. Y'all, you can't be what's my guy's name for some of y'all? The guy from Miami came out there in place of Scott Mitchell. Scott Mitchell came out there from Miami, and I think he took, was it Marino's place? Took Marino's place for like 3 games. Detroit signed him to this big contract, and he was never what he was. And he played 3 games as a backup, and they paid him all that money. Garoppolo is kind of in that same position where he was in New England, and now he's at Frisco. Garoppolo, don't get me wrong, they're 6-0 or 5-0, but that defense is winning for them. That defense in their running game, they're winning games for them. Dominique also says, Dan Quinn, to me, took over the defense too late, and it's starting to show how different from 2017 to now, but everyone is frustrated. I hate to see it, but the scheme is not working. It's too basic. And, Dominique, it was kind of interesting because during the mini camp, the thought was he was supposed to come and simplify things. That was the flash term going around. He was supposed to simplify the defense, almost saying they weren't intelligent enough to pick up on some of the things. I don't know what Marquand was running, but whatever it was, maybe it had too much stuff in it. It was always made a big deal about Ricardo Allen, who could be a casualty too. Ricardo Allen coming in there, and he was the only one that could call out the defenses. That's why the guys struggled so much last year. But when you have the majority of the defensive players still there for 1 year and only 2 years, and what's supposed to happen especially when you're in your 20s, think about how young Grady, Debo, Alford, Neal, all of those guys were when that Super Bowl year was here. Don't forget about my buddy Hagelman. And can't forget Jaden Collins. Jalen Collins, shoot, he played some quality minutes down the stretch in that 2016 year. So when you fast forward 2.5 years later, you would think, judging from what you saw in 2016, this was going to be a beast of a defense. But you've regressed as a whole. Not some individuals, but as a whole, you've regressed. Something to say about that. I think that's leadership. Alex Smith was in that same boat. He was. That's right. That's right. I forgot about that. Alex Smith came. That's right. Fred, when you get a third-year quarterback, get on national TV and break down defense, it showed. It was simple and predictable. And I know everybody looks back at that Deshaun Watson when he basically told the whole world the blueprint for the Falcons. Obviously, the last three teams watched. Arizona put up Houston put up 50. Arizona put up 34. The Rams put up 37. And basically the Rams stopped. The Rams almost tried to stop scoring. I think they ran the ball every play up until the end. And then when Schaub scored the one touchdown, they got mad and said, we're going to run this in and score another one. Schaub has experience and he can lead a team. Remember, he was Vic's back. Oh, yeah, I remember. He was drafted out of Virginia the same year Vic was picked. Vic was the number one pick, and I think Schaub was in the 4th round coming out of Virginia. And I remember Schaub was nice coming out. And a couple of those times, remember when Vic was hurt, Schaub played a little bit. I'm not trying to make Schaub an all-pro at all, but Schaub was serviceable. He was a serviceable guy. Still is serviceable, just 15 years later, unfortunately. But, I'm not trying to throw salt on Schaub, but we have bigger problems to worry about than Schaub. Robert said, I feel like a lot of us underestimate the power of momentum. If we look good offensively, then in turn, that can rejuvenate the entire team. I understand that Ryan's our guy, though, especially because of that contract. I'm really not happy about it, but I've come to terms with that. But you said a lot, though, Robert, in that as far as momentum is concerned, you're right. And tell me if I'm right when I'm saying this, Robert. So you're basically saying if the right spark plug came in here, possibly, and I'm just spitballing names. I'm not trying to start stuff. Jalen Hurts or just somebody with some energy that can flip the style of this offense, the get up and go of this offense and get us rolling. Those are sometimes the things you need to change what's going on with us right now. Right now, we're predictable, we're stale. Matt Ryan can throw. Yeah, he could complete a pass. But is he really doing the extra we need him to do right now for the money that we're paying him? And before I get into the money thing, keep in mind, there are probably 10 quarterbacks now making $27, $28 million or more. And guess what? It's about to get worse. So this time next year, y'all going to be talking about Matt Ryan at $30 million. 20 to 25 of these quarterbacks are going to make $25 million. Guess what? Somebody going to pay Jameis $25 million next year. Somebody might even pay Mariota $25 million. Schaub is making that money. So when you start thinking about that, I mean, that's pretty crazy. Yeah. Robert said the sad part is after Deshaun did it, we kept running the same defensive schemes. Haji said exactly. Philip Schaub was a Pro Bowler in this offense when he was Houston's quarterback. Yep, he sure was. Ben Kirk would be the spark for us. It wouldn't be shabby. Schaub. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I believe that. I almost forgot about y'all. Y'all got me rolling so much, and I love when y'all join me. I absolutely appreciate it. We do this every Thursday. I will be at the game on Sunday, so I will check y'all out. Please, 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 please keep the comments rolling. If y'all notice, I try to answer a lot of those after the game. Check me out. I'll be on. I got to go to work, make some money so I can go to these games. But in the meantime, y'all keep going. Check this out. This will be on YouTube. I'm on YouTube Live on Grown Folks Sports Talk on the Atlanta Bird game. Thank y'all so much for joining me. Continue. If y'all keep with sending me friend requests so I can put you on the other platform as well. And then when we start talking stuff like Hawks and into the season, college football on the Grown Folks Sports Talk, I can put you all on that platform as well. Until then, y'all have a good day. Rise up, take care, and we will catch y'all later, man. Falcons, we got to do it this week. I know I didn't give my prediction. My prediction this week, and I'm telling y'all, I'm hardcore Falcons through and through. I think Seattle wins by 2 touchdowns. Y'all take care. Y'all be good, and we will see y'all next go round. Peace.